I'm sorry, I have to say this. Every
Go
time I
ahead.
hear Reg, the first thing I think of, I mean, I'm a big SpongeBob fan, and all
Oh
I
my gosh,
think
so am
of,
I.
oh, bruh, all I keep
Okay.
thinking of is a salty spittoon, and he keeps talking to the bouncer, and he's like, "All right, Reg," like Reg is in front of the salty spittoon right now. He's holding this podcast, and I'm just rolling because I'm like, "Hey, Reg," I'm just trying to get in. I'm just trying to get in. Comedy.
Yeah, but Elijah, bro, how are you coming in today? Like, what's been going on with you?
Well, that's a great question. I'm trying to think of how far back I should go. So I guess on a personal note. All right. On a personal note, I'm recovering from ACL and meniscus surgery. So
oh my gosh,
that's more immediate, I should say.
Jeez. Okay. All right.
Right. Yeah. So I'm about 3 weeks out of surgery, and been crutching around the house and wheeling around the house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, trying to listen to the doctor and everything. So that's more the immediate focus right now, and it's been cool because honestly, what that does, right, is it kind of slows life down a bit. When I first got hurt, that's kind of what happened. Back like literally 2 days after my birthday in January, and
that's nuts.
And life kind of slows down a little bit, and then you start to do more things, and then you're like surgery hits, slows right back down. So it's a good reminder, to kind of like take my time, think ahead of time, and also just be ready for like the journey and the climb back. And I think it's been an interesting roller coaster of kind of like thoughts and emotions, but overall optimistic because I feel like I've been here before. Like literally three months ago, I was in the exact same position. So I was able to come into it a little bit better and felt good. So yeah, it's good. And I'll be doing a lot of coaching, not only in like leadership, but in rugby as well this summer. So
all right, nice.
I got things to invest in to help along the journey as well. So
is that how it happened, rugby?
No, ironically, it was soccer. So
wow.
I was playing indoor, and
shoot.
went for a ball, stepped, got stuck in the turf, and boop boop boop, pop.
You want to know something, Elijah? I was gonna actually say, was it turf? Because like that turf is actually really dangerous for like ACL, MCL, PCL, whatever. Yeah.
That Odell Beckham, he was not joking. He sliced a sloop. I was like, that's exactly what happened. I was
tough.
on my back so quick. I said, and I was down.
Oh no!
I was like, what is this? But gladly, it hasn't been too crazy of pain on it. Ironically, I know it's supposed to be like pretty bad. People are like, oh, this is horrible. It's like it sucks, but it's more inconvenient than painful. So. But outside of that, really been enjoying the opportunity to do a lot more coaching.
Cool.
Just for Coach for Better primarily. I'm sure you've heard of them.
Yeah.
And that's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy what I do. And it's funny because I feel like for a long time, that quarter life crisis that hits, and we all go through it. And they're like, man, I'm never gonna find that thing. And I'm grateful that I was able to find that. And then this year has been an opportunity to really dive into it and see like, all right, more of it. Let's see what happens. And it's like, no, it's still energetic every time, right? It's still joyful every time. So I'm like, all right, bet. Like I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And now let's just figure out how to make it sustainable, right? So that's what I've been doing outside. Yeah.
That's so dope. Yeah. I was, it's a different kind of feeling when I can talk to somebody about like what I do and like have like a joy about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I feel there's some people that I like talk to, or there's a lot of people I talk to that are like, it's just very rare to hear people be like, I love what I do, or I enjoy what I do, or you know what I'm saying? It's like, they'll say like, I enjoy the paycheck that it gives me, or I like my coworkers, but it's like, it's very rare to find like that intersection of like joy, fulfillment, joy and fulfillment, not with just the people you do it with, but like, the work itself. Yeah. And I'm a coach as well. And it's just one of the, I just like legitimately like love my clients so much. Like I love them so much, and like the epiphanies and the challenges that they bring to me, and the growth that happens for them and myself as well, because I get challenged by, you know, and encouraged by them too. And I don't know about you, but I mean, I got certified as a coach, and the way I was thankfully the place that I went to was like really helpful in forming like a solid foundation, and it was like equity and justice, like grounded in that. But like even still, there are some aspects of it where I'm like, you know, I'm trying to get ICF certified, and the stark difference between like my the stark difference between my certification and the ICF requirements, it's just like so annoying, because I'm like, it's so structured, it's so boom boom boom. And so but compared to like this certification, it was like, yeah, it's the structure there, but you also need to be mindful of like the people that you're working with, and like what they need and how to support them. And sometimes you got to throw the rule book out, because like that is not going to help them, you know what I'm saying? And as I've been coaching and doing coaching for like the last couple of years, like that's what I've found to be the most like impactful thing, is like when I'm vulnerable, when I open up about my own struggles, when I'm able to tell a story, and tell my story too, and like really connect deeply, that's when the real impact happens. Like, you know, I can't, coaching is the, you know, allowing them the space to process and talk. And I do that, but there are some times where they really like actually need me to engage beyond just asking questions. And I try and push them when they're like want me to give them an opinion. And I just do. You probably have like that go-to question when you're like, well, what do you think? Or tell me more, or like, you know, well, before I answer, tell me more about this or whatever. Like just rewind it. But there are those moments where I just like truly, truly, truly enjoy like just that deep connection you have. And in the outcomes that come out of that. It's just so fun. It really is. Like coaching has been the joy of my life. And I would have never thought, you know, if you would have talked to me 10-ish years ago, you know, I still wanted to go to law school, be a lawyer, and be a corporate lawyer, you know what I'm saying? But now just like doing this is just, this is like soul fulfilling. This is joy filled. This is everything. So this is so
That's
dope.
right, man. Hey, you know what's funny, man? You hit so many things, like the nail on the head on that coaching and then the feeling. And, you know, it's funny too, because, you know, you and I, you know, I looked through your stuff. I presume we're about the same age, almost exactly, possibly.
Probably.
And
well, I'm 30. I'm about to be 32. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm 31. So
there it is. I'm 31 too. All right, same exact age.
Okay,
all right,
so I saw when you graduated, I was like, oh yeah, we about the same age. And so I was like, you know, when you do the coaching, right? I don't know what your program looked like, but my program looked like all middle-aged white women. That was what they look like, right? And I went through IPEC is the name of the program I went through in 2019, and it was so interesting because the imposter syndrome just jumps in right away because you don't see people that look like you, and you don't assume you can offer help, and you were just talking about it's like it's really impactful when you could give that opportunity to be like, oh wait, I've been there. Like let me not advise you there, but just let you know, give you the empathy and the understanding that's like I get what you're coming from, right? And those feel really, really good in those moments. And sometimes, you know, it's I like both. I like when I can say, oh, I can relate directly to that. I like it because, oh, cool, I've either been here before and I've solved that problem, or the flip side of that, if it's exactly what they've been through, I haven't figured it out yet. And I'm like, so what do you think you should do? I'm writing down notes like, I think that you should do that. People don't think that like we're getting something out of it. It's like, I don't know how many times I've been in that session and I'm just like, that's a good ass idea. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if I can cuss.
I'm like, bro, you can cuss. This is explicit.
Okay.
Fuckity fuck.
Yeah, I'm weak. All right. I was like, yo, that's a good ass idea. And I was, I don't get hyped with them and be like, man, I'm gonna do that too. But at the same time, I kind of want to, and be like, wow, I'm gonna try that. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And so that's the joy of it, because to me, like my ultimate like joy I feel is in self-discovery. Is the studying of yourself, I think, is super fun. And probably why I talk to myself out loud too much. I'm that guy. I'll literally be by myself, have full blown conversations of like, so why did you do that?
Me too.
I mean, and I'll be questioning myself like, really, bro, is that it? And I'm like, no, it's not. And full blown conversation, because I just want to know like why. Like I just want to know why, and my why is usually involving people. Of like, why did you do that, and includes me. So yeah.
I almost ran out the room when you said that, bro. Because like it's so true. And sometimes there has to be, and I really want to look this up and see. I probably will, but like there has to be some kind of like psychology about like explicitly voicing out that. Because sometimes I'd be like, yo, do I need to like bring this up to my therapist and just like share like, yo, because I do it a lot. And my partner would be like, yeah, and I'd be like, oh no, I was talking to me. That's me. I'm talking to Jonathan. At this point, we've been together for 7-8 years now, and she doesn't even unless I explicitly call her name, she don't even say anything to me now, because I'll just be talking to myself.
Do your thing.
So it's wild. I'd be like, come on, bro, you got to be kidding me, Jonathan. That ain't it, bro. That is not it, dog. You need to go back to the drawing board with that one.
That's right.
Sometimes I got to talk to myself, because some people don't talk to me the way I need to be talked to, and sometimes I got to just like, I got to keep it real, keep it straight with me. No, that's dope, and I love this idea of like self-discovery too, because like, and that's a really good point that just come to my mind. Is like this idea where I used to think that there was something wrong with me with this idea of like vocally speaking out and sharing and saying these things, right? And now the more I communicate with other people, the more I realize, oh shoot, like a lot of other people actually vocalize outwardly. And that's just like how I actually process. And so I love this idea of like you brought up of like self-discovery, and how sometimes that even involves community, and like connecting with other people, which is the biggest reason why I love like podcasting, coaching, different things like that. Because like it's, what I didn't realize about self-discovery and the reason why, and actually connects to our broader topic of like Black masculinity, is like how I was raised and how I was brought up, and what I see mostly around me, around masculinity, around like Black men that I saw, was that like when it comes to emotions, when it comes to like processing things and stuff, unless it's like a practical need, and maybe even oftentimes not even that, it's like you figure it out yourself. And I think that for a while, like that caused it caused a lot of like for me to move slower in my own development, in my own process, in my own figuring out of life. And so like now I'm in a space where I am asking a lot of questions, ask for help. That's something that like I'm working on with my intern, not to put you on the spot, Reg, but like, I was able to, yesterday we met and me and Reg have one-on-ones weekly, and he shared like this person straight up just like, sorry, Reg, can I share this? I'm going to assume that I can share this. If not, I'll take it out in post. But like bro flaked, like okay, cool. Bro flaked on him. Right. And, this is for his final project. You know what I'm saying? Like he, if he shows up to this call, Reggie's done with his finals, and bro flaked, and like he was sitting on the call and nobody showed up. So he brought that up to me yesterday. And I said, you know what? I know that I know people. If I don't know anybody directly, I know that I know people in my network that can help. I know for a fact. And I said, I'll put out something in LinkedIn. Sure enough, within 15 minutes, 6 people, 7 people, 8 people were like, yo, I got you. I'll meet with you this week within 2 days. And I'm like, look, see, asking for help. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where that's a lesson that I particularly learned this last year. And even in my own development and growth, with my own masculinity and expanding what that means, and even like Black masculinity, because it's it's something special about it. Yeah, it's something unique about it too. Yeah. So I don't know if
That's
you've
right.
experienced that, what your whole process is, how you were even brought up too with your own, blackness, masculinity, and the combination of both.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. Like, I was very fortunate to, be raised by my father,
Mm,
and um, biological father, even,
mm,
and and both of my parents in the home, and
mm,
like I recognize that, I recognize that gift in that, and I recognize too that my dad didn't have a a dad really,
mm,
and so it's interesting when you are kind of the product of someone trying to navigate it,
mm,
right? And
mm-hmm,
when they're trying to figure it out, when they didn't
mm-hmm.
have the best examples, they had a couple, but not the best examples because their father wasn't there and my mom's father wasn't there. So it's like, how do you do this? And
Mm,
you know, all in all, if I can reflect back, and I'm like, man, he did a damn good job
mm,
of being able to show me what that means to be black and masculine.
mm.
Um, and then I can even, which I'm grateful for, see the areas in which I'm like, that's probably not necessary for me.
Yeah. Yep.
You
Yep.
know, you
Yep.
know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And like,
Yep.
I get it. Like there's coping strategies and mechanisms that you kind of have to do when you're trying to figure things out. And when you don't
Mm-hmm.
have no other option and you're told you have to be this and you have to be that. Right.
Yep.
And so, you know, he instilled, I feel like all of the like really really good traits of what black masculinity should entail, right? If
Mm,
like taking care of people, providing, strength, etc.
mm,
um and the beautiful thing that I got the opportunity to evolve from, because um I think he had to set the foundation for me, but I got to
mm,
evolve from it, which
mm.
I'm glad I didn't have to start where he was. I got to
Yeah.
evolve from it, and I know he'd be happy for me because of that.
Yeah.
I got to evolve from where that was into a space that says, wait, there's choice, there's
Mm,
difference,
mm,
and there doesn't have to be a good or bad, and taking like the judgments off of things.
mm.
So, for example, right, you've been in a long-term relationship,
Yep. Yep.
and me and my wife have as well. We just celebrated 10 years together, 5
Amazing.
years
Congrats.
married,
That's
right?
amazing.
And thank you. And the beautiful thing about being with her though is because she was raised by a father who didn't have any boys, and
Mm.
but he's definitely a manly man,
Yeah.
like as you can imagine.
Yeah.
um and so she learned very quickly that is like, I don't have to conform to any
Mm.
women rules.
Mm.
Not necessary for me. I'm
Yeah.
tough, I got it. Doesn't
Yep.
doesn't mean she acts out of her character or acts
Yeah.
above. It's just what she knew. So
Yep.
when we got together, it was so funny to see those things challenged, that I grew up thinking this is what men do. This is
Mm.
this is what I do as a black man. And she's like, you ain't
Mm.
got to do that. But you ain't got to do that. You ain't got to do that.
Mm.
And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But my dad does that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
so the beautiful thing I get to see is like, oh, okay, so it's tailored for you. It's not, there's not a rule book.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on your agreements in your relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, that helps then shape what masculinity looks like with my wife, with my friends, with
Mm-hmm.
my family, because then it's based off of our relationship, not based off of what society says
Yeah.
this is what it should be.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think for the longest time, that was always the case. It was society says a strong, um, responsible black man does X
Yep.
every time. Like we saw the movies, every movie was the same black dad, right?
Yes.
What did they
Yeah.
do? Right? There was
Yeah.
no options for different. You had to be
Yep.
like that. And if you weren't, you were either made effeminate or you were considered not good at your job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for that interaction in my life, and for her for kind of pulling that out to where now I get to see it in maybe some friends that didn't have the same opportunity. And I was like, bro, like you don't have to say, much love. You can say I love you, right? Like, you see, you know what I'm saying? And like the subtle differences, right? And it's like, and it's all good, right? And it's so funny to see like how like me and my friends and like we kind of reshaped what that looks and feels like as well. And so it's been a journey, but it's been one where it's been cool to be more observant and more of the self-discovery, just to look to see like what's happening and what is choice, what can I do.
Yeah, I love that idea of choice too, because like we have more like ability to choose than what we were given, right?
Yeah.
And I think it. How should I say this? I see a lot of people not recognizing that they have choice, and presenting it to the world like what. I want to give like an actual example, because it actually bothers me. I think that like we're only presented like only a couple options of existence and like ways of, and just like being, right? Which I think it puts people into a box. So you already touched on like media. I guess what I'm referring to is like those. What is that dude's name? He just got arrested for some shady shit.
Talk about Tate.
Yeah, Andrew, and like the Andrew Tates of the world. And then there's like a group of it's like a growing group of like these like hella toxic like masculine folks that are like perpetuating these ideas of like what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine. And I'm not gonna front like I didn't used to believe those things, right? And like acknowledge those things and like accepted those things as truth. But that is but like to accept that way of being, that way of existing, that framework of thinking is like to reject the choice that you have, which is like it's like frustrating because like life is huge. The world is huge. There's so many things that exist in the world. And like you can't tell me that I have to be one way. Like you can't tell me that like my masculinity, how I show up in this world is like a bad thing. Or if somebody is even a little bit more shows up and that's a little bit more and help me with the terminology if I'm getting it wrong. You said effeminate. Yeah. Like, yeah. And so like, I'm not going to shit on somebody or like make fun of them or be mean to them, or like dismiss them as dismiss their humanity because of the way that they're choosing to show up. Right. There's like freedom in that existence to be able to choose. And the compassionate side of me, I'm wondering what trauma exists there, what pain exists there, and why do you feel like you must present this way and show up this way, right? Instead of having the freedom, and you already said this, of saying like much love or one love or, you know, appreciate, like instead of just saying I love you and like being vulnerable in that way, right?
Yeah.
Do you not believe that it's going to be reciprocated? Do you not believe that there's like was there rejection there? Like what is it there that that you don't want to show up that way? Yeah, that's what I've been thinking about more recently. I've had a few conversations around Black masculinity, but the more I have them, it's like, it's that choice thing. And I love that you brought it and framed it that way.
Yeah. I know that one's I feel like it's so multifaceted, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you know, over the years, it's been funny to kind of like think about like, all right, technically like someone defined masculine and like define it, right? And like what are you putting in the synonyms? Like what is it that you're using as words? And are they just stereotypes?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that's what mostly is, right? And it sucks because I feel like we, you know, as Black people, I feel like we often don't mind buying into the pigeonhole. I don't think we do it. but I think
Yeah.
sometimes we can buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think sometimes we see it as like oh yeah, I'm gonna show you, or like or or yeah, that's my reality, but that's just what it is. And what are you gonna do about it? It's so like there's always some type of like defense mechanism we have to put up as Black people, right? It's like
Yeah.
there's always something we have to protect ourselves from, which
Mm-hmm.
naturally makes sense. There's a lot of things trying to harm us. It
Yeah.
just sucks because what that does, it makes us go into the corner, and it makes
Mm-hmm.
us be one way because
Mm-hmm.
we have to protect ourselves, yet at the
Mm-hmm.
same time exist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard, right? For example, someone would say, describe a stereotypical Black dude. What do you
Mm-hmm.
imagine them saying, right? We can
Yeah.
picture that pretty fast.
Yeah.
And let me just say, it probably wouldn't be me. I
Yeah.
wouldn't list myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't either. Yeah, I wouldn't be listed there. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
Yeah.
I ain't got locks. I'm not like 6 foot. I'm not angry, like whatever, right?
Yeah.
You could say now what's a stereotypical white dude? They get like options. You got like
Yeah.
Brad and Chad, frat boys. You got
Yeah.
country white dude. You got nerd
Yeah.
white dude. You got,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? You got
Yeah.
what's that? What's the alpha guys with the vest? Like,
Oh.
you get options.
Yeah.
You get options, and it's just like that's literally the point. Is to say that you see them existing as they want to and choose to exist.
Shit, that's good.
And
That's good,
but
Elijah.
we are like,
Yeah.
if I'm not that, I'm not a Black man. And
Yeah.
so part of me's gotta adopt some of it, right? Like I got I'm hard. Like
Yeah.
like why?
Yep.
No, I can't fight. I'm gonna be honest with you. Can't fight.
Yeah.
All right. If push comes to shove, sure.
Yeah.
I'll try something, but
Yeah.
I ran from a dog really and fell. I got hurt. Like
Yeah.
I didn't make it. Like there was things that happened that would be like,
Yeah.
this is embarrassing. Everybody else would be like,
Yeah.
oh, that was just bad luck. For me, it's embarrassing. Why?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is what it is. Yeah. Reg, make sure you clip that because that's such a really good point. That like, and that is it's so hard to convey like that as a privilege because it's something that isn't. It would be reciprocated. It would not reciprocate. It would be like. I can hear the gaslighting happen. Like I can just hear it. I can hear the gaslighting. Like just be different. It's okay. Like just show up, whatever. But then if you do that, you are rejected by Black people. Like if you can't just like you can't. It's like a song and dance, bro. And like the level of self-assurance and confidence and like self-esteem you must have to show up, right? Is like so much. It's so much work that has to be done to like relieve yourself of that duty of like putting on all of these different masks. And you said it, you're so right. There's like so many things that we are already as Black people fighting against, having to show up just to survive, right? Whether it be literally surviving, emotionally surviving, psychologically surviving. But like it is hard. It's excruciatingly hard sometimes. And I think that like it's taken me a lot to be honest, to be comfortable around Black folks in general, but Black men in particular, because like I personally just like internalize like anti-Blackness to a degree that I did not realize that was so unhealthy, and I didn't realize like what it was doing to not just like my the way that I viewed my physical body as far as like my Blackness, but also like even parts of like my maleness, right? Like if I can't be this archetype or this stereotype of a Black male, like you said, like then what am I? Like then who am I? Because I'm Black, but I'm not Black. Like I'm not like I'm a Black guy. I'm a Black dude, you know. But like oftentimes what happened to me in college is like, you know, I'm that safe Black guy that like it's the leap into like before like they want to date like a Black dude, but they don't want to like, you know, they don't want to go too far. And like it's just like so thank goodness for therapy, thank goodness for like these self-discovery and like ownership of like who I am. And like truly I like love being Black. I love my culture. I love like all aspects of that. Like I have a ton more like Black male friends now.
Yep.
But it's like taking a healing journey, and also like some hard truths of acknowledging like, wow, I had this realization last night, and I particularly wanted to bring it up today. I went
Okay.
to an event last night. It was a Black men's mental health event that was done by is it Actively Black? Is that what it's called? It's the apparel brand. They did like a
Yeah.
cool
Oh yeah.
yeah. They did like a cool like a mental health like thing. It was at SoFi Stadium. I don't watch the NFL, but SoFi Stadium. I am in LA, and we went down to the field. Like we were on the field. It was like the dopest thing. But it was yoga.
Is dope.
It was a mental health like panel. We had like accountability partners or whatever that we had at the end of the time. We had a sound bath, which if you haven't done a sound bath before, it's incredible. I highly recommend it. I love it.
I haven't.
But it's wonderful. Oh my god. But I had this realization as I was driving home that I typically support Black women, especially within the last recent years of my own negrescence, which is a real term. That I support Black women, especially because I didn't see in my own life role models that I could really say that is the Black man that I wanted to be growing up. Like I did not see that. And so like I've had this internalized distrust of Black men all of my life because I didn't see a version of an adult Black male, an adult Black man that I wanted to be like, that like set a good example of me. And I want to say Cosby Show, but like I try, it's hard to separate.
I get that.
It's so hard.
I watched a lot of Cosby Show growing up.
Yeah, so much Cosby.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like Uncle Phil, like these are just so there's so many different qualities that like I saw on television, but I didn't see in real life. And I recognize that of like this was an internalized like not hatred, not dislike, but distrust of black men, and like how I even viewed myself of like I could never be this. It's just I had that realization last night driving home. I had it was 30 minutes between from the drive home from that event, but I was like, damn. That's heavy.
That's incredible, man. That's absolutely incredible. And I'm glad you're able to have that moment with yourself and just reflect and just be like, whoa, because you're not the only one who probably had those thoughts. Right? Someone else showed up in that event. Was like, do I belong here?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that guy looks like the black guy, right? Like you can think about it and look at it. So man, that's wild. It's funny. Like, I feel like you said, well, at my institution, right? I might be the intro black guy, right? I'm the black guy to get comfortable with other black guys, right? It's so funny because I went to a PWI as well. I've listened to your last podcast, and you were like, "Yeah, I went to a PWI," and I was like, "Yeah, I relate," because I went to Northern Iowa, and as you can imagine, and it, yeah, so very very small percentage, and growing up in high school, I went to probably about the same demographics because I was from a small town in Iowa, and it's just funny because you completely, in a place like that, I completely like absorbed the whole Oreo, like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I completely absorbed it. Thought it was normal. Thought it made sense. Oh yeah, I'm black, but not that black. Yeah. Like I agree. Right.
Yep.
And it went to your thing. It's like, do I hate myself? I didn't feel like I did.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I never reflected much to be like, why don't I accept my blackness? My dad seemed fairly comfortable. He didn't like make a big deal of it. No one questioned him. No one ever seemed to,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, he's not originally from there. My mom's not originally from there, but I am. Right.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, I'm from the small town. Not very many of us, or if there are black kids, they're all mixed kids. Right.
Yep.
So it's like, so it's just funny to see that, because when I get to college, I still thinking the same way. It's like, who's gonna be my friends here, right? It's like, it's like I still don't identify, and it was like sophomore year. I remember it to this day. It's like I did this program called a Pathfinder, in which you're like essentially helping all of the essentially minority groups kind of like get like what's the term I'm looking for? Get introduced
like
to campus. Acclimate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Getting acclimated, right? And it's like a 2-week thing before school starts, or like a week. And it was fun.
Oh yeah, we had that too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you kind of need it at our schools, right? Because I mean, you can't just show and be like, hey, they're like, yeah, we don't know what to do with you. So at least be like, hey, meet all the other ones that are also brown, and so that way you guys can be friends before you start meeting all the white people, right? And so and so that was the mission, and that alone kind of changed like everything, because what I saw was different than what my lens was. Right. What I truly saw that time, I finally took off the glasses. I was like, okay, we kind of act the same, different. Didn't expect that. All right. You're kind of goofy and quiet. Okay. That's weird. And you start to see the options, and then you start hanging out with a bunch of people, and then you start hanging out with some of the upperclassmen that they're like, dude, you're just a straight genius. You can do anything you want. And you're, you're also from Iowa. And I'm like, you get to see all these different types of black people. And I'm like, hey, hold on. This whole time, like, I'm actually doing okay. Like, I'm actually living a black experience. Like, I'm actually being a black man. And it's so funny because you don't know until you see it. Like you said, I got more black friends now. It's like when you see the people that you get along with, and you start to see like, wow, we have so much in common. It almost validates your experience of being like, okay, I'm not that weird. Because I always thought I'm just the guy that will always have the white friends. Like I really thought that one day. I was just like, this is what's going to be my life. Yeah. But when you finally see it and you experience it, it's just so different, and it opens your mind up to say like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna be me. Like, yes, I play soccer and rugby. I know they're not typical black sports, but I play them. It's fun, right? Yeah.
Rugby is so fun. Underrated. Black people need to get into rugby, bro.
I'm telling you, hey,
it's so fun,
bruh. It'd be a wrap if black people were actually playing that instead of football. I can only imagine.
Oh my gosh,
it'd be embarrassing. It'd be a wrap. Yeah, there's actually a whole roots rugby program that does that, which is really cool. There's several around the country, but
Sorry, I didn't want to throw you off.
No, it's good. It's like they do that, and then but at the same time, I love basketball. I like to play, and I like to watch it. I'm like, so it was getting comfortable saying like, this is a hobby, this is a sport, this is a blog, this is a thing that is not my identity. And I think it's trying to identify what is your identity and what's just something you do, and not assigning everything to this is my blackness or this is my black maleness. This is just what I like to do. And I think that frees us up to make choices and to also try new things and start to realize, oh, we actually do like that, or that's actually fun. It's like when black people finally was like, oh, they let us in golf, right? Okay. Yeah. Some started, but some are like, I'm still not going to do it. But then you just need a couple more. Like, all right, now what do you see, right? Like there's whole cultures around it, around that sport. And I'm like, now black people are getting to swimming. Right. Gymnastics, killing that. And it's just like all the things that you're not expecting is because someone's like, well, I'm just seeing it as something I do. I'm not I'm not taking it on as my identity. And I think that's when our experience gets a lot more fun.
Yeah.
You know? So
I love that. I love that too. And I try and I mean, I just think about all of like the experiences that I've had because I was willing to try something different. You know what I'm saying? Like I always used to feel like, oh my gosh, like, oh man, I don't know why I'm saying this now, but like, I didn't actually hide it because I actually loved like listening to like rock and all that stuff, like in middle school. Like that's literally, I listened to that more than hip hop and pop and everything. Like that was my go-to. and then I'll listen to like throwbacks, and then there's like these threads that pop up on like Black Twitter or whatever, and it's just like, what are the classic like rock songs or whatever, and then there's so many people that I'm like, y'all did too. I literally thought I was a lone black person. I was like listening to, you know what I'm saying? But it's again, and then when you start to dig in the history of it, it's like black people started rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's just like, it's like you think about like music and like the beauty of even music, and like how, I don't know, like how, I'll just say like how black people even use music as like not just like an identity thing, but like there's like a creativity, a freedom there that exists there. There is a flourishing there. And even if you go back to our roots, this is like what we use to survive. Like this is the safe spaces that we created with our music, right? And the creativity flourished out of that was like healing. You know what I'm saying? Like this was like our release. And so there are so many different forms and ways of being within just like music, but like I feel like I'm using that as a metaphor for like a broader like consciousness of like blackness, right? And so like when we even think about like blackness, masculinity, bro, like just try it out, experiment, show up, be. And I think what you were getting at too about like even as you were starting to like realize and recognize, like I could even when you said like when you did stuff and you weren't really sure, you weren't really like tying your identity to that, or blackness is something that you did. It's like I did that, but I know that like I did not like being black. Like when I think about it, if I'm 100% honest, there was so much confusion and like pain and hurt and just like just anxiety and unsureness, insecurity around like me being black and not knowing how to be black, right? That like I just didn't want to be black, and and it wasn't necessarily that I just didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. But like fast forward 10-ish years, I don't know, I'm getting emotional right now. Fast forward 10 years, because I want to hug past Jonathan. Like I want to hug him so bad. I just want to just like hug the shit out of him and just like be there and allow him to cry and just like exist and be. Because I think fast forward 10 years, like all of that stuff like literally doesn't matter. Like you could do those things and still be black. You can have both, and you can show up. But again, like I said earlier, it's like I think there was like pains and hurts and stuff like that was leading and guiding Jonathan through every single decision that he made. He just didn't want to make a bad one and be a bad representative of all black people, of like trying to be a good one, of like trying to show that not, black people can do these things too, and like taking all of that on his shoulders. And there's just a lot of pressure. Like that's just a lot of pressure. And like none of that pressure I put on myself. That was like all these white people saying all this stuff to me as I was growing up and getting older, being in GATE program, being just like the only black person, and like them saying this stuff to me. I internalized that and really, yeah. So I think now I'm just like, damn, I don't mind doing things on my own and showing up and existing and being. And then I'm like happy to see other black people doing it, but particularly like other black men doing it, because like they do exist. Like other me's exist, other people that other black men that want to like, go surfing or golf or play rugby or soccer. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like they exist, right? And if you go outside of the U.S. context, like
they do it.
A lot of black people do all of these things. It's just this is like a very U.S. like way that we view like blackness and black masculinity in a way. There's overlap, right? Like when we generalize, but like there's certain aspects I'm like it's like okay, like you know what I'm saying? And we can choose, right? But like that unique experience, that lack of choice, that lack of access, that lack of opportunity, right? And to go back to what you said, because it's such a good point of like we opt into those ways of being without us necessarily realizing how damaging those things can be, and I don't want to say prison, but like how we are confining ourselves to that one way of existing. I'll stop there. But yeah.
It's powerful, dude. Dude, that's
I knew it was gonna be a good conversation, Elijah.
Dude, that's powerful, man. That's so powerful. I think we should all go back and hug our younger selves, and and oh man, dude, I love that, man. I think that's excellent.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, we are coming closer to end time. I want to keep talking to you. Maybe we need to have a part 2 or something like later on. Like,
hey, I'm in.
You got to come back. You got to come back, bro.
I'm in.
This was fun. I don't know what topic. You could choose the topic, but you can let me know when you can come back, bro.
For sure. Hey, I do got to say this. Hey, black people, we need to start skydiving more.
That's right. You lost me.
No, we got to do it. All right. I know it's a little extreme, but since we talking extremes today, you know why? Because you will not find an experience like that in your life.
Really?
It is impossible.
You've gone?
Yes.
Okay. How many times?
Yes. I've gone only once. It was a birthday
I was
present.
about to say this month.
No, but I'm going again. I'm so confident that I'm doing this again. When I get this leg right, I'm doing this again. Yeah, and I've done iFly a few times. But no, there is such a freedom in that. And for one, in conquering a fear that is so stereotypical to black people. That of the heights and the plane, we don't do that. And that kind of irks me. Is like, we don't do that. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, that's funny. It's haha. Like in jokes, it's hilarious. But then if you think about it, it's like, we're just limiting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
limiting
I'm
belief.
not saying like we're going to go like you need to go bomb like a hill on your skateboard. Like, I'm not saying do that. But what I'm saying is it's like there are certain things that we can kind of push ourselves and be like, are we actually afraid of that? Or is that something that's like that could actually unlock a feeling that we've never had before? And personally, I think it's the latter. And even Will Smith did, right? And it's like, and it's such a dope feeling, bro. I'm telling you, try it once. And the feeling of free fall, and it's much shorter than it really is, right?
That's fine. Okay.
But it's a beautiful experience.
All right, you convinced me. I'll go, and when I go, I'll post it. I'll do a video and post it on here sometime. I don't know when I'm going to go, but I will go. I will not do bungee jumping though. That's too much for me.
I will not do that either because I don't trust the bunge.
Yeah, and the bouncing, and then you gotta hang. Like nobody talks about the part where you gotta hang, and then they pull you up. Bro.
You're just getting pulled.
I guess if you're down there, whatever. I don't want to do it. Anyway,
I ain't gonna do that. I ain't losing my legs like SpongeBob. Hit the bottom, and the bugs crack through the top. I just feel like that's gonna happen. Like my legs just gonna come out on the bungee, and I'm like, I'm straight.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I only think of. I got one more question for you, but I always think of this when the bungee jumping. It's like that episode of Fresh Prince where it's like, Hillary, will you marry?
One of the greatest scenes of all time. Because they followed this man all the way down on the television. I'm like, who thought?
I will not. Yes, Trevor. Like what? Yes, Trevor. Like what? What did he say? They did Hillary dirty there. But hey, Elijah, this has been a dope time. A lot of laughs, some incredible insight. Just like. You got me reflecting on a lot of stuff and just like the deep connection. I only asked you like one of the questions sort of, but we were just going. So I love it.
Sure.
But the last question that I want to ask, and I'm curious because you've said so many dope things. I know for me, I'm like I have a lot of questions that I'm still like pondering and wondering about like my blackness, masculinity, my black masculinity. I'm going to encompass those two things together. As someone who identifies as black, or excuse me, not that. I would say as someone who's still navigating like your own world and still like self-discovery is still important to you, what is something that you are still processing when it comes to your blackness and masculinity?
Incredible question. I would say something that I'm still processing is that's it. All right, cool. It's settled. It's how do you like, where's the line between vulnerability and weakness when it comes to, not like in relationships, but when it comes to like the outside world, right? And I think that's multifaceted, and this is what I mean by that. My relationship, I can be 100% honest because the person knows me. The context of doing that, there's safety there. But in the world, right, there's certain vulnerabilities that still, we just talked about it. If I'm vulnerable in a certain way, I could be deemed as something without people knowing who I am. More so by our community, because we kind of fall into the trap, right? That part makes me hesitate sometimes with certain things. So it's like, it's not, and to be honest, it's not like the easy stuff like, do you cry or do you like, I think we've kind of gotten past that. It's like, yeah, black man cry, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's saying, it's like, it's like, think about in business, right? How comfortable is the black dude going to their white boss and saying, I can't do this? I mean, that's not going to happen. Why? Because we're already thinking that they think lower of us possibly, or they're going to think, see, this is why I didn't want to do the diversity hire, or you see how it it's like, where's that line of vulnerability? And then like, does this now meet weakness? Am I now seen differently? And I think that's something that's pretty unique to us as black people. I think it's even worse, honestly, for black women. It sucks for black men, even worse for black women, because worse, you're all, like, it's even worse stereotyped, unfortunately, for them. But it's that moment, and it's how to navigate that in the world as we're still trying to protect ourselves from it. It's saying, like, how close do we get? How close can we get to say, like, hey, look, I'm real and I'm wanting to be real with you, without being so far to where I'm like, oh no, my defenses are now down and I can get attacked or hurt, because the attacks feel a lot more severe when they come. Right? They're more devastating. It's harder to recover from. So most people don't even like to approach the defensive walls. They're like, no, keep those up. So I think it's trying to navigate that in society and trying to figure that out, like, publicly. I can appreciate any celebrity who's good at that, to be honest. Like, I think J. Cole's really good at that. I think certain people that are like, you are an honest person and very open, but at the same time, like, you've been able to protect yourself from a lot of things, and it doesn't seem to have, like, destroyed you. And I'm like, I admire those people greatly, because I'm like, how do you do that when I know the goal is to cause a little chaos, right? Like, that's the goal. And so it's like, how do you do that? So that's one thing I think I'm navigating, especially as something that I want to do more of this, and maybe even expose myself more to the world of, information and coaching and things like that. It's like, all right, how far is too far? So, yeah.
Well, if I started talking about that, I feel like we're going to talk for another 45 minutes. Because that's such a good, God, you're coming back, Elijah. It's already established. We got to keep the conversations going.
Let's go.
Because that's such a really, really good point. And it's very, very true. And even as much as I'm quote unquote processed, right? I, as I said, I wasn't going to talk about it, but I'm talking about it. I feel like I feel that. Like, there's some times where I'm like, if I'm working with a client and I said I'm going to get something to them, back in my mind, I'm like, if I tell them I can't get this done by this time, I'm like, will they? But yeah, like that question in the back of my mind. And to push through that, it's like some extra work. And then I feel like I have to, even when I send that email of like, hey, I can't get this by you, but I'll get it by then I feel like I'm scrambling. At that point, I'm working from a deficit mentally. So good point. Oof. Okay. All right. Man, y'all got a lot to chew on this episode. This was a good one.
This was fun, man.
Yo, appreciate you so much, Elijah. Seriously. And I'll say this for all the listeners. This is literally the first time me and Elijah are actually talking to each other. We are not friends. I don't know him from Eden. He was referred by Katrina Stroll, who was on here last season. So, yo, what is up, y'all? I am just hopping in here because I need to do a little correction and calling myself in. You're going to be seeing me do this a little bit more often, where I drop stats, context, you name it, in the conversation to help the flow of it and kind of give some more scaffolding on this. Shout out to my friend Gustavo for providing this feedback. But back to the point of this. I'm calling myself in because I dead named my friend, well, me and Elijah's friend, Kay Stroll, who does incredible work in psychological safety for organizations. I'm going to plug all of their information in the show notes. But I just wanted to publicly call myself in. And if you're not sure what dead naming is the act of referring to a transgender or non-binary person by their birth name or name they used prior to their transition, rather than by their chosen name. This practice can be harmful and disrespectful, as it invalidates a person's gender identity and can cause a long list of harmful things for transgender and non-binary folks, and I don't want to perpetuate any of those things. So I want to publicly apologize to Kay Stroll. Incredible person, and does incredible work in psychological safety space. Again, all of their information is going to be in the show notes. Just wanted to do that really quickly. All right, let's get back to the conversation. It's nuts. So this was dope. Bro.
Yo, shout out to Kay Stroll, because
seriously.
Yeah, they came through and I think they made a really awesome connection. It's funny, I could tell. I was like, I think we're gonna have a good conversation. I was like assuming, I felt right. I listened to your podcast. I'm like, I just like the way he converses. I'm like, I think we're gonna have a good talk.
Yeah,
and trying to confirm that. So yeah, this is the first time we sent like one email, and that was a couple of LinkedIn DMs, and that was it. And now we're here. So it's like, I'm like, this is great. I love when this happens.
Yeah, I just made a new friend. This is dope. See, this is why I love my show.
Yes,
so bro, I want to give you the opportunity to like what do you got going on next? Like, how can people connect with you? What do you got going on? This is your time to like plug Elijah, like plug yourself.
Oh, sheesh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I am a coach, and I'm looking to continue to expand that business. So, what I like to, who I like to work with primarily are people that are, millennials, even Gen Zers, and especially people of color, essentially the undercoached population. I like to work with that group because oftentimes coaching comes too late. And I think people need to relate to people that are, of similar age or similar background. And I think that helps tremendously. And so that's my stilo. So if anyone's interested, I'm always willing to have the conversation. But I'm probably the most active, I guess, on LinkedIn, but I've been trying to post more on like Insta and TikTok as well. So I'm sure you can plug those later, but yeah, that's what I got going on.
That's what's up. Well, y'all, I'm going to have all of Elijah's contact info inside of the show description. So be sure to connect with bro, and follow and reach out if you want to coach. I can imagine that just as incredible as this conversation was, it's probably even more of an incredible time, like in a long-term coaching relationship with Elijah. So so I'll make sure I get that plugged in there. But fantastic, bro. I appreciate you coming through, and look forward to having you again.